Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. Joining me today on the show is Craig Tinklenberg. He is the sales and safety at Fuller Brothers. We're going to have a lot to cover. Fuller Brothers, I'll give you the quick snapshot. They are producing tire additive products, but he is going to walk us through the not just the product line, but different applications. There's going to be videos showing where the different basically the pain points that they're solving. Lots to cover, but before we do that, I'm going to hand it over to Gaudy Molina for our sponsors.
Alrighty, so today we have Cal Tire Mining Tire Group. Whatever your goals, reducing costs, improving uptime, or fulfilling sustainability commitments, Cal Tire's Mining Tire Group has proven solutions to help you reach your targets. With proactive planning, tire management innovation, and highly trained team members, at Cal Tire, they believe you can expect more at every stage of a tire's life. To learn more, please visit caltiremining.com or email them at info@caltire.com. We also have Savannah Equipment. Savannah Equipment supplies new and used mining equipment around the world, from placer to underground to ore processing plants. They have gold concentrating tables, trommels, and mineral jigs in stock now to take advantage of the high gold prices. You can visit them at savannahequipment.com, where you will find more equipment every day. Next up, we also have the Bucket Shop. The Bucket Shop provides wear solutions for all mining bucket applications that extend life cycles of 3 to 4 times. They help clients improve productivity and reduce operating costs by providing innovative options, including their 5-piece cast lip system, cast heel shrouds, and mechanical 2 and 5-piece buckets with optional disposable front ends. Beyond buckets, they provide truck box assemblies and liners, custom builds, undercarriage systems, ground engaging tools, and abrasive blasting and painting. Begin your savings today and visit them at thebucketshop.ca. Next up, we also have PowerZone. When you need a specialized team of world-class engineers for your oil and gas pipelines, dewatering, or any fluid handling needs, you want to visit powerzone.com. In addition to their inventory of rebuilt pumps, motors, engines, they also have an amazing team to design and engineer your systems, no matter the challenge, no matter the location. Get in the zone with PowerZone. Visit them at powerzone.com. And last but not least, we have CIM. CIM is a leading membership organization for technical content and creating connections in the mining industry. Mining professionals and students can access a breadth of technical expertise through the CIM Technical Paper Library, the OneMine Digital Repository, the CIM Journal, the CIM Magazine, and also attend upcoming CIM webinars. Whether you're working in the field, in the office, or at home, join the community today and learn how they can help you achieve your professional goals. Visit them at cim.org.
Okay, Craig, welcome to the show. Good to have you on. Good to talk about Fuller Brothers. Let's give a little bit of background. I see you've got a couple product lines behind you. Obviously, Tire Life is the one that we're going to be focused on. But can you give us a little snapshot about who Fuller Brothers is?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jared. Thank you for having me on.
It's good to have you.
Thank you. So Fuller Brothers is a company that started in 1962 in Oregon. Clackamas, Oregon. John Fuller was a tire man, owned his own tire shops, and was a retreader. So he wished to find a way to preserve the asset so that he had a viable carcass for retreading. Because if he's not retreading the tires, he's not making money. So he experimented and he played around with different formulations and so forth, and it took a little while. Had a few failures. Tim Fuller now owns the company. That's John's son, and Tim fondly recalls a story of how he was, as a family and a young boy, rushed out of the family kitchen because Dad, John, was unsure of what was going to happen to the formula on the stove.
Oh boy!
So pretty interesting. But he came up with a product as we now know it, called Tire Life, and it's a light viscosity tire additive that goes inside the tire. You know, if this is the Tire Life is meant to be inside the air chamber, and it protects the rubber and it protects the steel or aluminum, depending on which wheel the tire is mounted on. They also Fuller Brothers also produces some tire sealer products. Over my shoulder is the pail for the PSF Plus. That's our premium top of the line tire sealer with applications in, like garbage refuse fleets going into landfills. Farmers use our products quite regularly in the barnyard, running their skid steers and their backhoes and that kind of thing. We also have another sealer product called PSF. That is also a good sealer. The difference between the two, PSF has more of the ingredients, the fibers and the rubber, so it'll handle a larger puncture, and it'll also handle the speed and heat of a commercial application.
Nice.
We also have two very good bead lubrication products. One's called Lubes-It, which is a gel-like consistency with Tire Life as its foundation for its formulation, as well as Tire Cream, which is a white cream, sort of like a facial cream. In fact, the ingredients for Tire Cream are cosmetic grade. So very, very good products. We also make a tire paint for the retreading industry called Dripless Tire Paint. It's a good product to use in a variety of different paint machinery apparatus, as well as our own machine. We produce one called the Custom Tire Painter. It does a fantastic job. We've got machines that have been in retread plants for many years that have painted millions of tires.
Wow.
It's a good product, as well as a repair system called Omega. So primarily for the earth moving market, it's a portable unit, and it's got some pretty neat technology that we're working on that we can't talk about. It's pretty guarded, but we hope to debut it at the Mine Expo.
Oh, you're going to be going to that. That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people are quite excited to finally go to a big live event. I'm glad they're putting that on.
Yeah. Fuller Brothers has been a part of that Mine Expo for many years. Yeah. This is my first time. I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, I think Mine Expo was really probably the first time I understood, even in a remote way, the magnitude of the mining industry. I really think so, because when I went there, I went, oh,
yeah,
this world is big. Because I'd been to shows, obviously Canadian shows they're fantastic. People from all over the world, but Mine Expo is just a different animal altogether. It's just wild how the magnitude of what they have there.
Well, and of course the big boys, the big equipment guys, are going to bring all their latest and greatest, and a little bit of wow factor, right?
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about standing underneath a 400-ton haul truck inside of a building.
Yeah, I was there when they had it there. Yeah,
is your perspective, right?
Yeah, it's well, and then they let you. I forget which one it was, but you could actually go in and actually stand in the back of it, and you realize just this, like it's like you could feel like you could play a football game in there. It's huge. It's so massive.
I know. I know.
So the tire life that. And I actually didn't realize this. This was the original. This was the flagship product. This is where it all started. Then,
correct, absolutely. And in its 59-year history, there's only been one formulation change in about 35 years ago, and that was solely because one of the components was kind of shaky, I guess you could say, as far as FDA. So an alternative was found, and that was taken care of. So this formulation and this product in its finished form has been around for 59 years.
Is it just for a little bit of context again on the company? Now, a lot of these products, like you sent me a couple samples, they would be now they're using a couple different applications or a lot of different applications, right?
Correct.
But are they working in sync, or like you said about the one product line is primarily used with like farmers with their skid steers and things like that?
Sure.
Does a mining truck, you've got a couple wheel loaders and a mine truck beside you. I see a little semi there.
Yeah.
they're using this product, are they also using some of the other products, or when they're coming to you, is this what they're using?
Yeah, the tire life is what we want specifically in the mining industry. We do not want to seal a hole or a cracked wheel. We want to have tire life. I help identify that, and we can chat about that a little bit further on in the conversation. But anything with a multi-piece wheel, in other words, you have multiple components, a wheelbase, flange rings, bead seat, lock ring, and an O-ring. You don't want to use a sealer product there because that will cause the servicemen a real big headache next time they got to go change that tire. So tire life doesn't have the puncture sealing qualities of our PSF or PSF Plus, but that's okay. We don't want that to do that.
You know, when we were actually just before I was actually driving here for the interview, I was thinking, it struck me and now you saying about the founder putting together on the stove, and I was thinking he had to have built this for all kinds of condition. You're out of Oregon, but you're a global company. You're shipping all over the world. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
There's so many different conditions that tires, you almost don't think about the world that tires live through, which is basically everything the climate, especially in mining, anything the climate can throw at them.
And underground.
And underground, yeah, going underneath the earth. So
exactly.
Is tire life, well, there's you go, underground, like flammable and those types of things. What is is it the exact same thing for something in Saudi Arabia as it is underground in a mine in Canada?
The only variable that we have is ambient temperature. So if I live in Michigan and we get some pretty harsh winters, it pales in comparison to others further north of us, of course, but we get some pretty cold weather and we have to have some freeze protection in the product as we're storing it. Or if it's sitting inside of a tire and the machine doesn't get used every day and it's -10, okay, there's the potential that it could have it could get like a slush and wouldn't be as viscous.
Right.
It won't freeze solid, but it'd be an issue. And then a couple revolutions or even the sun warming up the tire will change the consistency. So we've got to be pretty in tune where we're sending which product formulation to which area.
So, okay. So you actually sent a video through it. We'll get Gowdy to bring that up as well. It's a commercial truck and it's kind of neat because it kind of shows the value on each tire. I actually had a quick question about that, Craig, because as the video's playing, you can see that it goes from what it does for the front tire to the middle. And then does it do different things like on a commercial truck? Is it doing different things for different axles? Like
no, what that video is describing is the primary attribute for that wheel position. So on the front, the tube on the front, if it's going to act as a balancing product, that you only got two of them, and the driver's holding the steering wheel the whole time, right? So he can tires are vibrating. The drive wheel positions typically are shrouded. You've got fenders over them. The wind's being blocked from the front of the truck. It's air that cools the tires, and so heat is a big thing for those tires. And the tread depths are substantially deeper on a drive tire, upwards of 30 seconds compared to 18 or 19 on a steer tire. And then go back to a trailer tire, and they're typically somewhere around 11 to 30 seconds of tread depth. So just having that deeper tread on a drive wheel position causes more heat because of the friction of the footprint on the road.
I see.
And then the trailer tires, the biggest thing there, most commercial fleets have a ratio. So if you have 100 power units, typically they're two to 3 to 1. So they may have 200 to 300 trailers to go along with the 100 power units. So trailers are dropped places, yards. They're the trucking company's customers may leave the trailers there, and they don't get through a maintenance facility as regularly as the power units do.
Right.
So the air retention qualities of tire life that seals that rubber and the O-rings on the valve stems and so forth, that's very huge for a trailer tire.
That's very interesting. And going back to my question about climate, now a truck is going, I mean, it might be crossing 20 states. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
What now? Would you default then? Does it change out by season, or do you default then to one of the ones that has the agent in it that will basically eliminate the freezing?
We're going to worry where the facility shop or headquarters is at, and that's where we're going to make sure that we put the right formula for that particular geographical area.
I see. Now going over to the quarry side, there's another video that it's showing. I think we've got again, we'll bring it up in a second. We've got the rigid haul trucks, wheel loaders, the tire service units. Can you walk us through that a little bit? I know it's a similar component. Actually, I wanted to jump back to something, Craig, that you mentioned. The smoother ride on the I think you said that's what it gives you on the front end of the semi truck. Is that right?
That's where it's most noticeable. Correct.
So it's actually acting like, I know from like the agriculture days, the farmers on the side of on a field, they'd use the water on one side to keep their trucks or their tractors from flipping over and all that.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's actually. Can you say I probably everybody listening knows how it works? I don't. How does that work to sort of smooth out the ride?
Well, if we show the truck video, that would give a kind of a visual. But in a nutshell, what it does is sort of like a pebble in a pond, Jared. So if you take a pebble, throw it into a pond, and you get the waves that go away from the pond, right? So that would the pebble would be what we would consider the heavy spot of the tire. So every time that the heavy spot is hitting the ground, it's creating ripples and is pushing the product away from the heavy spot, counterbalancing it in that regard.
Oh,
so if does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's actually eliminating. So then that energy is basically dispersed away rather than going up into the vehicle itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
It dampens it. Correct. So
I know you're not tested on like, could you put it in just a standard vehicle? I know you're not tested on it. I want to be very clear to the audience as do not go and start dumping it in your vehicle. But that the application could essentially, that principle stays on any type of vehicle, right?
Absolutely. I've got a 2012 Jeep Cherokee Wrangler.
Oh, nice.
Excuse me, a Wrangler Sahara. This past fall, getting ready for winter, Michigan winter, put some new tires on it. And we put about 10 ounces in each tire. We didn't put them on a conventional wheel balancer and mounted them up. And my Jeep's probably got, I don't know, maybe 10, 15,000 miles since we did that.
Wow.
And it's as smooth as glass, Jared.
Really?
That was a great job.
Again, we're not endorsing doing this, but I might try it.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. I'd love to get your feedback.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to have to. But now, does that work on? Again, we'll bring up the video with the haul trucks and that. Well, by the way, you've got some really nice little models behind you. I'd like to get my hand on those. That haul truck and then the little tire with the Top Life brand on the back. That's nice.
Yeah. That tire is an actual antique.
Is it?
Back in the day, that was an ashtray.
Really?
Yeah. General Tire made those.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's getting harder to find. Like you can, but it's harder to find because a lot of the stuff isn't like. It's harder to find the authentic stuff now. Like you have to sift through so much. And I think it's because of ad spend. Like when you go to look on, because we wanted to find more models to put behind us and that. No, most people aren't looking, they don't want to spend $500 or whatever, some crazy number. So you have to sift through so much before you find this one obscure place in like somewhere like Michigan, someone makes like a very specific thing. You're like, oh, there you are. That's what I was looking for. And then you see the price tag and you buy the cheap one.
Yeah, exactly. The knockoff.
The knockoff. Yeah. For these quarry operations and mining operations, does it have as much of an effect as well? What is the main focus of putting the product in for these types of operations? Again, we'll bring up that video so people can see what's happening.
Yeah, it's a new video for us, Jared, and we're pretty happy with it. It really describes the operations. You've got typically in a rock quarry, you have either rigid or articulated trucks. The bigger quarries are going to have the bigger rigid trucks, and then the loaders that mate with that can comfortably load them for cycle times and that kind of thing. Our product is very well known in the mining industry across the globe. And to the folks that use our products and endorse them and talk about them on social media and that kind of thing, we thank you for that. That really means a lot to us at Fuller Brothers. But I got a pretty long career on the sales service side in the tire industry, and about 16 months ago came to work for Tim at Fuller Brothers. My exposure to the product was around 2007, immersed in it, I should say. I was aware of it in the late 90s. There was a very large LTL freight company in the United States that the company who I was working for was awarded their tire business, and we were dismounting the hundreds of their semi-truck tires, and a bag, what was left of a bag, and this green product was in the tires. I didn't know what it was, and was exposed to it, but didn't understand it. 2007. I kind of switched gears in my career from a commercial tire guy with the retreading and all of that to more of the off the road. In Michigan, we have some pretty large limestone quarries and some steel mills and so forth. And I was asked to engage with those folks and learn the business. Well, I was being told from the customer that we use Tire Life in our tires. So I had to get kind of a fast track to understand what it does and why. Now, fast forward to just a few years ago, I was privileged in one sense and kind of by necessity in the other sense, was out in the field helping change these big tires. It takes a long time to train a service guy to do this work safely, to understand what he's doing and why he's doing what he's doing. But anyway, I learned real fast that for the service personnel, having Tire Life in the tires eases their job by as much as, throw a number at it, 50%. So if you have all these wheel components, like I described, a typical 5-piece wheel assembly in a limestone operation, which limestone is very harsh, and you've got the heat, the cold, it's wet, all these different things. Rust is a big problem, and it gets down in the in between those components, and it rusts them together. And man, a service guy will push and prod and poke and pull, trying to get those components to loosen up where you can take it apart.
I've seen it. I've done it.
Yeah. When there's Tire Life in those tires, that's lubricated, and the rust is not allowed to develop. And so, speak kind of fondly of it, as you're pushing against the tire to loosen up the parts, and it releases, you get a little poof of air, and a streak of Tire Life would go down the sidewall of the tire. You knew that day your job just got a little bit easier.
Yeah. I have to, going back, like I said, I've done it. I used to these LHD trucks and that. I fixed a few of them, taking tires off and things like that. So, and it just, now I'm a little bit bothered because I realize all that work. And I remember thinking, really, this is the best that they can come up with to do this.
Yeah. And it's
That happened to me quite a bit. And this show, so much of the problems that I had when I was doing that kind of work, I've now found the solution. But of course, I didn't know that when I was 18.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I was looking at one of the social media groups, just like every group in society, the tire changers, tire fitters, other parts of the planet have their own groups. And a young guy posted a picture of this nasty, rusty off the road wheel. And as you read through the feed, you see these guys, you got to put tire life in them. You got to put tire life in them. So the service personnel may not understand all of the attributes that and value that it brings to the fleet. But they sure do understand that their job just got a heck of a lot easier with that product in the tire.
Well, that's the other thing in this line. It must, in your line of work, it's sort of applicable to everybody at every level of the company too, right? There's nobody in the chain, in the command chain, that doesn't want it in there, right?
Correct. I mean, if you were to if we were to look at the individual fleet, if you will, quarry owners, in their written standard operating procedure, they state very clearly that they want a liquid tire additive added to their tires. Mm-hmm. And we hope, of course, that it's Fuller Brothers Tire Life. But they recognize that small expense compared to the price of the tire in and of itself is minuscule. I mean, there's tires that I was involved with personally. We were the distributor, the delivering dealer, if you will, but they were upwards of $100,000 per tire.
Yeah.
And you put them on a loader, and we saw this happen. Within a shift or two, being 8-hour shift, the tire was destroyed, and we had to change it.
So are there really people not putting this in? Like, does this still happen?
Well, no, not as much as one would think. I mean, of course, the big boys really understand it. The big global companies. But there are some smaller operators that may not be aware of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm in my late 50s. And so, in a sense, I'm kind of on that downward hill as far as being involved with the industry. It's guys like yourself, Jared, in that, you're the next generation, right? The next generation of management and supervision and so forth are coming into this industry, mm-hmm. whether it's the mining industry, construction, tires, whatever. And they may know, because of being around it, what these products do and what they are, but they may not understand the whole why. And that was what my hope was today, was to kind of fill them in and give them some idea of what we do and why.
And just on that, who are your customers? Of course, like the mining operator is the end user, but what is the distribution setup of it, Craig? Because I was just wondering, like, do you have dealers, like places like, the reason I'm thinking of this, because when I'm remembering working on these LHD vehicles, I'm remembering a lot of them were going down into places like Mexico. I mean, I'd say Mexico was the primary delivery spot. How are you getting your product into places in these mining operators? Some of them that are like owned out of Mexico. So maybe they're owned by a Canadian company, but an operator, the purchasing managers might be in Mexico. What is your setup for distribution for that?
We use the Tire Service Distribution Network. So the tire dealers around the country that are providing the service for the mine sites. There are mine sites that have their own service personnel, of course, and they typically purchase our products through one of those tire servicing dealers. So that's our primary model is to support the servicing tire dealers with our products and necessary resources to educate or make sure that they get the products to the mine sites.
What is the? We kind of got to touch back on that, and and the reason I'm doing it is I want to bring up a couple pictures of this as well. We always kind of do a common challenges section, and this is really the cost of not using it, because it still does happen. I know I've seen equipment go out without it in there. So bringing up some of these pictures, can you just describe what we're seeing? We've got these red lines around where the corrosion has happened, but there's a few different versions of it. So could you kind of walk us through it?
Sure. So the ones that have the red lines circled around those are wheelbases that have excessive damage due to corrosion. So those wheels have lost material. As part of the second half, tire being the first half of a pressure vessel. That's exactly what a tire is. It's a pressure vessel. So it's not the tire and the wheel, the axle, the hub, the studs, all of that that hold the load up. It's the air pressure in the tire that is supporting the load. Doesn't matter if it's a wheelbarrow tire or if it's the largest haul truck or loader on the planet, it's the air pressure in the tire. So when you have that kind of pressure, there's some tires, like a 40-157. It's a very large tire at 120 PSI, has close to 2 million foot-pounds of stored kinetic energy. That will throw a 200-pound person well over a mile straight up.
Wow.
So, when you've got that kind of pressure supporting the load, and the wheel is compromised due to corrosion and material is actually eroded away, the integrity of that pressure vessel is minimized. And so the pictures are showing the damage that the rust did. And if we were to send that wheel into a wheel manufacturer, they would gauge it and do their things to it and tell us that the wheel is it's no good. It's not safe. And so what Tire Life does is it prevents that oxidation, that rusting, and ultimately degeneration of the wheel. It stops it cold. I worked on some wheels that had some pitting on them. The wheels had the proper amount of material there, so the wheels were safe, but they had a little pitting. And when Tire Life was introduced into that equation, it stopped. It did not progress any further.
So you can actually get into a scenario like what you're saying, where the corrosion has already begun, but you can stop it. So you're not eliminating an asset just because you missed the first opportunity. It's sort of a second chance. Correct.
And it really has to be cleaned up properly. I mean, the corrosion is like a cavity in a tooth, right? You got to get the damage out. And so that's all got to be removed. And then the integrity of the wheel needs to be checked, just to make sure that it is good. And then when Tire Life is introduced, that corrosion, it stops, just plain stops.
How do you, with your distribution network, and I know that there's a problem if you're a distributor of something, and you're taking a manufacturer's product. Now, if an end user takes this and doesn't clean up their tire right, now they're not setting it properly, but you're not actually the one selling it because it's getting sold through distributor. Do you have to provide a lot of education? How do you sort of work through that with your distribution network?
Yeah, so that's very important, and we have a lot of conversations with our customer base, answering their questions on the fly. But we also rolled out a revamped website just a few months ago, and I encourage everybody to check that out. www.fullerbros.com. And under the Tire Life landing page, there is a host of information in there. talking about all of the advantages and values that Tire Life brings to the fleet. But there's some video in there as well. SDS is in there. Frequently asked questions, quantity charts, what we recommend as far as the volume of our product that goes into each individual size. And I need to kind of put a little caveat to that. Each application is a little different. Okay, there's some generalizations, right? I mean, if you've got the same style of equipment, you've got the same environment, they're limestone guys and so forth, or whatever the commodity is, there's a lot of similarities, but there are some variables. I mean, I've personally been into quarries where you've got a 4.5 mile one-way haul to the crusher compared to some that have a half a mile. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of difference in the what's being asked of the tires and the wheels in each different application, and then throw heat in there. You know, the steel mill with a machine, a loader digging slag pits, the ambient temperature that environment that tire is called to work on, it's harrowing. I mean, it's unbelievable watching a pot drop with the slag over the wall. It's like looking at the sun, Jared.
Yeah.
You know, 2,000 degrees, 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and the loaders are in there, you know, digging that out. So we've had cases where the standard quantity of Tire Life protected the tire from oxidation, protected the wheel from oxidation, but it had little effect on the cooling of the tire, which is another attribute of Tire Life. So we added more. We started off with 12 gallons per tire, and by the time we were done, we were up to 36 gallons per tire. And that was the number that we needed to control what we wanted to control with that application.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think the other thing we should probably mention as well, like I see behind you, you've got that Tire Life in a box. And is that a Tire Life bag that's in front of it? I don't see the brand on the front.
Yeah. This is, hang on a sec, I'll grab that.
Yeah, please.
So this would be for the commercial application, Jared. This is a pre-packaged 20-ounce bag.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And this bag is a burst bag. You got to be kind of careful with it so I don't get Tire Life all over me. But, and this is on our website too. There's some pictures that show a young guy, Chris, throwing a bag into a tire. You mount the first bead, you place this in there, mount the second bead up, air the tire up, and within, you know, 1 or 2 revolutions, the bag bursts and the product's in the tire doing its job.
Right. I see. Actually, I was going to ask about the commercial application as well. Is this standardized across the industry as well? Are most of the trucks you see going down the highway, do they have this in them, or is it not as common as it would be in, let's say, a mining's and quarry and all that?
It is a popular product in certain geographical areas, specifically in the United States, but it is not as broad based as it once was. In 1969, John Fuller started doing business with Bandag Incorporated. And if you're not acquainted with Bandag, they started in Iowa. Bridgestone now owns them.
Oh, okay.
And they you know, depending on which survey you look at, Bandag owns, shall we say, or controls or retreads up to 50% of commercial tires, specifically in the United States. And that was John's first major customer.
Right.
And so back then it was super popular also because it was bias ply tires compared to steel radial constructed tires. We have a lot of it going out to some customers, some tire dealers that use it for that balancing quality when they're out changing front tires on a semi truck in the field.
Right.
So they're at a truck stop, they're at their yard, the trucking company's yard or whatever. They change the tires, they put this in. Now the tire has that balancing quality, and the driver's really happy then too, the operator of the truck.
Does the just going back to the like you have the bag and then behind you have a box. And now is that a mix formula that you then mix with water and then dump in? There's another picture of someone actually with a white bucket and they're dumping the water into what looks like a large, it's either a truck or a wheel loader tire.
Yeah, on the website. Yeah, that's a Tire Life is a finished product. So whether it's in a 20-ounce bag or it's in a 330-gallon tote, the formulation, other than that ambient caveat, the formula and the liquid is the same regardless of the packaging.
Okay.
And so a lot of the trucks in the service world for the tire guys with their crane trucks, they have tanks on them. They're non-pressurized tanks. They're gravity fed. They put the Tire Life product in the tank, and they use our 6-gallon pails quite often to meter out how much product they want, and they simply pour it in the body inside the tire.
The other thing, Craig, just to quickly touch on as we're getting towards the end of the interview, what about like sort of that safety? Is there another app? Is there a use case for because that liquid's actually in the tire? Is there any way for it to like I saw some pictures of like corrosion along like the sidewalls and things like that? Is there anything that sort of does liquid inside? Is there any way for it to sort of notify the operators if there's any issues? Oh,
absolutely, Jared. And the case in point, I was personally involved with this. We had a wheel loader, a Caterpillar 994. It was the right front tire that 110, 115 psi cold was its standard pressure for its operation, for its load. And it would drop down to 60, 70 psi and it would just stay there. And it would get aired back up by the fleet personnel. And it would, over a couple of days, it would drop back down. Well, it got to be a situation where something's wrong, right? I mean, a tire is not supposed to lose air, and that's not supposed to happen. And you're talking about big loads being suspended on the end of in the bucket and so forth. So I'm out there, I'm looking at this thing, and myself and my partner. What are we going to do? I mean, it's not like you can, like a car tire, if you've got a leak, you can remove the tire and the wheel from the vehicle, air it up, and dunk it into water and find the bubbles. Well, you're talking about a tire that's over 12 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and weighs 12,500 pounds, just the tire. And you just can't do that. So what we're looking for is places on the tire that are wet. They're showing moisture, and specifically with a slight green tint to it, which is the Tire Life.
Right.
And so I'm up and I'm observing, and there's a picture of this as well. You got the hub, and then you've got the portion of the wheelbase, and the whole wheelbase was clean except about a 3-inch stripe about 4 feet long. And that limestone was stuck there, and it was wet. And lo and behold, it had a green tint to it.
Yeah.
So we kind of had a good idea. We were 99% sure that was our trouble spot. Once we got the tire off, there's another picture there that shows the inside of the wheel and what that was. Once we sent that wheel into a wheel manufacturer that can test it and tell us what's going on, that particular weld had a small spot that had it was faulty for lack of a better word. And so it was allowing the air to migrate out that portion. Is there potential for catastrophic failure? Yes. But it wasn't as dramatic as the tire losing air pressure and over deflecting and overheating, causing the tire to fail. So it was a safety thing. We actually would train the operators through tire and wheel safety training at the sites, typically annually. I would have a bottle of Tire Life, and we would tell them what we're doing and why we're doing it, and to keep their eyes peeled for that product. And we had guys help us, operators help us on their daily walk around the fleet pre-shift.
It's one thing I appreciate you did on this interview, Craig, is, and I try to encourage guests to do it. And we just did a poll on our LinkedIn page. It said, do you want technical information, social issues, or leadership conversations? And technical information, I mean, and we just released a poll. We don't shift. We just asked the question. We put all three answers there. And technical information absolutely obliterated everything else. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, thank you for coming on and actually walking us through, the commercial trucks, the load trucks, the haul trucks, all these things, and walking us through, because I know a lot of people use this show. It's a sales thing, but it's also a lot of people using it for technical information, trying to understand the sort of the in-depth version of, purchasing managers and people like that. So thanks for doing it. It was really good to have you on the show. And I hope this is not, a one-time thing, that you come back on and maybe we can highlight some of the other products on some of our other shows and things like that. But it was great to have you on.
Well, thank you very, very much. And Jared, it was an honor. To have this opportunity to, I had to tell myself this morning, and my wife, beautiful wife, also told me, don't ramble on, because I get pretty passionate about the tire industry. It's been my profession for 4 decades, and again, I'm very passionate about the next generation. The folks coming behind me who are going to be in positions of influence, that they have all the knowledge and all the understanding, and our products enhance a good tire program.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a magic potion.
Right.
You have to have some fundamental things involved in your tire program, inspections and regular inspections and training and understanding the particular operation and so forth. There's a lot of people out there that do a great job with that. Fuller Brothers is just a part of that.
Yeah.
And for that, we're very thankful.
Yeah. And we've done other tire distributors on the show, and they've talked about those programs. And again, hopefully people that are watching the show of any generation are it helps them put it all together, so that it's safer, it's more efficient, less cost, all those types of things. It's great.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Craig, for coming on. We'll do a quick sign off, but hope to see you back soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Yeti.
I'm back.
You're back. You were ready. I saw you out of the corner of my eye, just shuffling around, trying to get ready as you saw that we were wrapping up. Gowdy, where can people go? We're going to have websites for Fuller Brothers up and easy to access, but where can people go to follow, subscribe, share, and suggest us?
All right. Well, first off, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode of Mining Now, Crownsman Energy, Crownsman Ag, The Crownsman Show. Am I missing one? No, I don't.
Yeah, you're missing the ones we produce.
Change itself.
Change itself.
Oh, boy. There's this long list. I should have a little list here. Yes, no, definitely. Which Change Itself actually just launched their 3rd episode yesterday. So go check that out on their YouTube channel. And of course, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, share, all those wonderful things. And if you'd like to recommend someone to be on the show, or you want to be on the show, contact us, info@crownsman.com.
And watch out for this fall. Make sure to share it out with particular people as well, because we are continuing on our partnership with CIM, and we will be having some pretty exciting guests coming on this fall for Mining Now. So
fabulous.
We'll watch that show specifically. Okay, thanks again, Craig. Thank you, Fuller Brothers. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of Mining Now.